Hey guys, in this video, I wanted to share my thoughts on this Saturday's Joe Freshgoods 650R collaboration. So I'm just gonna say it outright, this collab is just so plain and lackluster despite the awesome backstory. And the most interesting part about this collaboration is the fact that it's only limited to 500 units. So for those of you who don't know the original story, Michael Jordan in the iconic Jumpman shot was taken before he was signed to Nike and created Jordan brand, and in this photo he was actually wearing a pair of New Balance basketball shoes. It's kind of hard to see in this photo of the page in the magazine, but he's wearing a pair of low-top white New Balance basketball shoes in that iconic Jumpman pose. Of course, this image was eventually utilized as the iconic Jumpman logo we know today. Of course, Michael Jordan signed with Nike and created Jordan brand and not New Balance. And that's the inspiration behind these Stuntman New Balance 650Rs by Joe Freshgoods. The idea behind this project is to explore what would have happened if Michael Jordan signed with New Balance instead of Nike, but I personally fail to see how he conveys that with the shoe. I personally just see a plain white 650R with some subtle Joe Freshgoods branding around the shoe. Of course, it's probably going to be elevated materials, and you do get some different types of materials not typically found on the 650R, like the hairy suede found in the back panel, but I personally think it's just a very plain and simple shoe that looks like a GR 650. I'll admit paying homage to Michael Jordan and the original story is very hard, especially legally speaking. Like, you're not gonna throw a Jumpman logo on it, you're obviously not gonna put like MJ or Jordan's name on that. Obviously Joe Freshgoods would get in a lot of trouble if he did that, but if you're unable to do any of that, the only way to know about this backstory is to just literally read about the backstory and look at the original magazine photo. Really, the only kind of direct detail that pays homage to the original story is the fact that the shoe apparently resembles the same colorway as the shoes Michael Jordan is wearing in this shot, but even then, it's just an all-white shoe, and then the 650 is going to be an all-white shoe, albeit with some Joe Freshgoods branding. I feel like what would have been better would have been to track down the original model and recreate it for this project. Joe Freshgoods is a big collaborator with New Balance. I feel like it would have been a cooler idea to bring back this silhouette from the vault. I mean, New Balance has so many cool vintage basketball sneakers in their vault, and it has so much potential. You guys know I love vintage New Balance basketball shoes, and they could do so much with them by making retros of them. I feel like this could have been a step in the right direction. I don't know what this model is, but it's not a 550, it's not a 650R, it's not a 480, so this would have been a new retro model, if that makes sense, to the modern New Balance line, and that would have been a lot cooler and would have been a more obvious tell of the original story without having to get into legal trouble. Instead, we get this plain 650R that just looks like a GR. Again, probably one of the most insulting things I can say to a collab is say that it looks like a GR at first glance, and really the only indications that it's a collab is that it literally has Joe Freshgoods initials at the front instead of the 650 and on the tongue. Here's some more close-ups of the shoe. It definitely looks like a quality shoe for sure, but without these subtle branding details. I mean, that's all they are. They're just branding. You literally have the JFG initials. Like, without that, it's just a plain white 650R that has nothing special about it other than the fact that it's limited to 500 units. It's just stupid limited, and I guess the only other detail is the little dust bag it comes in that says, "What if the story was different?" That's a little tongue-in-cheek, but even then, if you don't know the story, you're gonna have to Google search the story instead of letting the shoes tell the story themselves. When the shoes themselves fail to tell the backstory themselves, I think you've done something wrong. And while I definitely respect Joe Freshgoods as a creator and I am a fan of his work, I feel like this collaboration is kind of a flop and is only gonna be relatively popular due to its limited quantity to only 500 units. I'm just gonna repeat it again, it just looks just like a plain white GR 650R. The branding details around the shoe weren't enough. The box and packaging are a little tongue-in-cheek, but even then, if you don't know the backstory, you're just gonna have to Google it. All you gotta do is Google search Michael Jordan New Balance, and then you can read the interesting story behind the Jumpman logo, and then that's really all you gotta do to find out about the interesting story. I really wish they would have just brought back this model he was wearing. I feel like that would have been a way better homage to the original story, instead of this disappointing, stupid limited collaboration. So with my opinion out of the way, don't let me sway you, but what do you guys think of this collaboration? I'd definitely like to know down in the comments.